Hi everyone. So today we're going to talk about HTML. We all are familiar with different websites and web pages. Suppose we are now at BBC's homepage, and you may have wondered how these pages are actually designed. What's behind these pages? Why these pages look like this? So there is a way to see this. If you click, press on Control Shift and I, or if you go from here, go to more tools and developer tools, you see Control Shift and I. Then you will see the codes behind this page. As you can see, this is the set of codes that is actually building up this page. And so basically these codes are actually is a part of a language which we call a hypertext markup language, HTML, which is a very basic of building H of any website or web page. As you can see here, this code actually consists of different symbols, and we call these HTML elements. So that is the introduction. Now let's go to the details of what HTML is. So HTML is a set of markup symbols or codes placed in a file intended to display on a web browser page. And there is the standardization organization for the HTML, WWW Consortium. So basically, they actually come up with if there is any new symbol or changes to the language, they set the standard of the language. And in the example, you saw that the whole code was made of different symbols, right? So we call them HTML elements. And each of the markup code represents one HTML element. Each element has a purpose. Most of the elements are coded with as a pair of tags, an opening tag and a closing tag. Tags are enclosed in angle brackets. So let me show you an example. You can see here a file. This is an HTML file, index.html. Let's open this file to see what is in it. And let's open it with Notepad. So you can see here that this file has HTML elements. Just now we defined what HTML elements are. We said like the HTML elements are a set of tags starting uh, with this and ending with this, right? So this is one HTML element. This is another HTML element. Now this is another HTML element. Some of the HTML elements, most of the HTML elements has a opening tag and a closing tag. So this whole thing is an HTML element. And then this is another HTML element. Okay, so this is another HTML element. So this whole thing is an HTML element. So the HTML that we are learning is HTML5. It's evident that this is the newest version of the HTML, and this is supported by all modern browsers. And this is also backward compatible. That means uh, it works like it is compatible with any other previous versions of HTML. And the file that I just showed you, there you saw different elements. The first element is a document type definition. This identifies the version of the HTML document, version of the HTML contained in your document, and this is placed at the top of the web page. So this is how it looks like, okay? And then we have the head section. This is the very basic elements of an HTML file. The head section contains information that describes the web page document. So this one starts with a beginning tag and ending tag. And as you can see, if any element has a beginning tag and an ending tag, the ending tag is distinguished from the beginning tag through this slash sign, okay? And the next one is the body element. So this contains the text and elements that displays on the web page. And this starts with the body tag and ends with the closing body tag. So if we bring them together, they will look like this. Let me show you the file. So this was the notepad file, right? So you see here at the beginning, we have this document type, doc type element. This one will tell the browser that this is HTML5, so the browser will be ready to follow the protocols of HTML5 to display it. Next one is the HTML element. So the whole file is going to be inside one HTML element. The whole everything has to be inside the one HTML element. Okay. Next comes the head section. This is the head element, as you can see, and inside the head you can put other elements, say title, right? So the title element is also like starts with the title tag and ends with the closing title tag. And next comes the body element, right? So as you can see inside the HTML element, we have two other elements, head element and body element. Inside the head element, we have this title element. Inside the body, we have some text. Okay, so this is how uh, our first HTML page looks like. Now, if I go to the browser and if I look at this, okay, so you can see here, this is how the page looks like. Now, notice two things here. First one is the title that was inside the head is actually being shown here, and the text that was inside the body is being shown here. So this is the visualization of the same HTML file that I showed you here. Okay, so the browser now knows that how to display these elements. Once it shows this, it knows that the whole is going to be a web page written in HTML5, and then whatever is inside the head, inside the title in the head, it displays it here. Whatever is inside the body, it displays in the body. Okay, we can see the code also from here, as I said, like Control-Shift-I, and now you can see everything here. Okay, so whatever was in the file is being shown here. And also, if I put my mouse, hover my mouse on it, it will show that specific part of the file, how that specific part of the file is being displayed. So if I put my mouse on the body, you can see only the body section is getting highlighted. So let's talk about some other elements. The heading element. As you can see, the heading element starts with the start tag, and it also has an ending tag. And there are 6 types of them, H1 to H6. And you can see what's the difference. If you put H1, the heading element will make the text will display the text with larger in larger fonts, and if you put H6, it will display the heading in smaller fonts. Next comes the paragraph element. This one starts with the p tag, right, and ends with the closing p tag. And what it does is it groups the sentences and the sections of the text together, and it's a block display, so it configures empty space above and below. That means we'll talk about what block display is, but for now, just remember this is a block display. I'm going to show you an example. Next comes the line break element. Now, the difference between line break element with the heading and the paragraph element is this is standalone or void tag. So you only have this, you don't have something like this, right? You don't have something like this. So this is standalone tag. And whenever you actually put this, there will be a line break. So it causes the next element or text to display on a new line. Okay. Next, the block quote element. What the block quote element does is indents a block of text for special emphasis. So if you put some text inside a block quote element, it will actually shown as a quotation or a block. So it also is of block display. That means it configures empty space above and below. Let me show you some examples. Okay, so here you can see the examples of inside this HTML file. You see that we have inside the body, we have heading like six of the heading elements, right? So H1, H2, and you can see how the headings look like. Okay. And then you have one paragraph element. You can see a paragraph element, and this one actually is creating a paragraph. And as I said, like, this is a block element. That means a block element means it actually keeps some space and in the top and the bottom. So this heading and this paragraph are not actually adjacent to each other. Since this paragraph is a block element, it keeps some space in the top and the bottom of the paragraph, which you can see in the yellow color. Okay. And let's put one thing here, and then it will be more clear to you. Let's put a line break element. We just learned about a line break element. So we put it here. So you can see there is a now break of line. After this, new line is being created, right? Now let's look at the block quote example. Okay, so if I go and check the code behind this, you see this HTML file has a head and then it has a body. Now inside the body, it has first a header, H1 element. So it's a big header. And then we have a paragraph, that's fine. And then we have a block quote. Now you see the difference between this paragraph and this block quote, right? Now the difference is the paragraph starts from the left, whereas the block quote text has some indentation. So it has some area left at the left side of it. So now it looks like a quotation or a block of code, right? So that's why this is called a block quote element. And this starts with the starting block quote tag and ends with the ending block quote tag. Next, let's talk about the phrase elements. The phrase elements are used to indicate the context and meaning of the text. So using these phrase elements, you can bold the text or emphasize the text or make the text italic, make the text small, strong. You can create subscript, superscript, etc. Okay, I'm going to show you examples for that. But before that, let's talk about proper nesting. So as you have already seen in one of the first examples, I showed you that we use title element inside the header element, right? Inside the head, inside the head element, right? Uh, so when you put it there, you have to be careful to do proper nesting. That means you see here, we have a paragraph here, right? Inside that paragraph, we have some portion as italic, and then we have some portion as strong. Now, what we have to make sure is if the paragraph starts here, it has to be also with the last element here. That means first from the end, right? Then the second element is started here, so it has to be second from the end. The third element is started here, it has to be third from the here, okay? So if I put strong here, say strong here, it won't work. It's not going to work, okay? So this is called proper nesting. And if I do proper nesting like this, in the browser, I will see a paragraph like this. Now inside the paragraph, you see a portion, this portion is italic. And then inside that italic portion, this portion is strong, okay? Next, let's talk about list elements. So there are three types of lists you can create using HTML list elements. One is the unordered list, uh, ordered list, and description list. So in the unordered list, it looks like a list, and it displays with a bullet point or list marker or before each entry. Okay, so you create the unordered list using this tag ul. This contains the unordered list, and inside that you nest. So ul is like, this is for unordered, right? And l is for list. And for inside that you nest li, that is l is for list and this is for item, so list item. So this is how you create unordered list. So this is one example. This is the unordered list, and inside this you put the list items, the first one, the second one, right? And each of these list items actually start with the beginning list item tag and ends with the ending list item tag. If you write this, then you will see something like this on the browser. Next, the ordered list. And obviously you can guess in the ordered list, instead of bullet points, you will see numbers, or you can see letters, right? So ordered list, this is what the ordered list contains, and this is the list item. It contains the items in the list. So this is how it will look. You see we have an ordered list here, and inside this we have the list items, 4 of them, right? And by default it will show as 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Next comes the description list. This is a useful way to display a list of terms and descriptions, or a list of frequently asked questions and answers. So it has 3 elements. First is the description list element. It contains the whole description list. And then this is the term, description term. It configures the empty space above and beyond the text. And this is the description itself. So this is the list, this is the term, and this is the description itself. This is how actually it looks like. So this is the list, okay? Now inside that, we have this DT, that means terms. This will look like the heading. And after that, we have this description itself. So you see, this is the whole description list. DT is creating some kind of term or heading, and DD is creating some text, okay? So again, we have a DT, which is creating a heading kind of thing, and then we have description, this, okay? So let me show you examples. So this is an example of the description list. And you can see if I make my browser like smaller, like browser area smaller, now you can see more clearly. So this is the whole list, right? This is the whole list. If I put my description mouse on the description list, you can see the whole thing. Inside that, you have this term, and then we have the description. You see that? The colors are changing. Then we have another term and the description, another term and the description, okay? So you could just say you wanted to create a list of the countries and some description about each country. So what you have to do is you have to just put the name of the country here, and then description of the country here, okay? Description of the country here, say Iran is a country in the Middle East. Something like that, okay? Yep. And then you put another country here, say India, and then you put your description here. So this is how description list works. And we also talked about the other lists, right? We talked about, say, as you can see, this is an ordered list, Control-Shift-I. And the example that I showed you for the order list, that one showed 1, 2, 3. Now, how this one is showing A, B, C. The only thing that you have to do is you have to use, this is called an attribute. So any HTML element can have an attribute, right? So in the attribute, you put the value A, and then you put, like, we're putting 3 list items. You see, we are putting 3 list items. And since you mentioned A as the type, it shows ABC. It will go on like ABC. If I change it to 1, let's see what happens. It becomes now 1, 2, 3. If I change it to small cap A, now it changes to A, small cap ABC. And if you don't have anything, say, by default, it will be 1, 2, 3. Okay. So by using the attributes, we can change it. Also, let me show you one phrase element. I had shown you the block quote example, right? So in the block, inside the block quote, you can see or this one. So inside the block quote, you can see a portion of the text was put with this emphasize, and that portion now became small cap, right? So if I had put, say, bold, now see this portion becomes bold, right? Or if I had put, say, subscript, sorry. Now you can see this one creates a subscript. Now, how do we display special characters such as code, copyright, symbols, etc.? So this is how you do it. If you put something like this, then it will be converted into this character. And then if you want to put exactly this symbol, as you can see, this symbol is used in creating HTML tags. But what if you want to put this symbol? What you have to do is you have to put this text. Okay. Similarly, using this text, you can create this symbol. So these are the codes for creating special symbols on a website or web page. Now going back to another web page, and this is a newspaper web page from Bangladesh. So you can see here that this page has different portions, right? So this and this is so different blocks, right, etc. So this is organized in a very structured way. Or if I even go to the BBC's page, you can see here at the beginning we have a heading, then we have like an area, a box area here. Then we have some of the smaller newses on the side, right? And then this is another box area, but this is divided into 4 divisions, right? This area is divided into 6 divisions, and then in the bottom you can see here this is the footer, etc., right? So this is how we create these kind of structures. So this is where the structure elements come into picture. We'll be talking about the structure elements more in details in the next session. But for now, let's familiarize ourselves with some of the structure elements. So the one of the structural elements is div element. This is very widely used. It configures a structural block, area or division on a web page with empty space above and below. It can contain other block display elements. Okay, so basically, if you look at an outline of a page, say BBC's page, so in BBC's page, they probably use these kind of structural elements. First one is the header element, where you saw that BBC kind of thing, right? And then the nav area where you see the links. Say first link was US, second link was UK, Asia, right? These kind of links. And then there is the main area. Inside the main area, you saw, say you saw one div element, big div element here, and then you saw like another div element here. And inside these div elements, you can even have smaller div elements. So as you see, you saw one area was divided into 6 smaller chunks of news, right? And finally, there was a footer at the bottom. So roughly, this is how the structural elements are used to structure a web page. Now let's talk about a specific, say, let me show you a page with this kind of a structure. So as you can see, this is a page, right? So this page has a body. Inside the body, you have a header, nav, main, and footer. So this is the whole body, right? You can see this is the header part. This is the navigational, that means navigational area part. This is the footer part. And this is probably the div, inside the div part, okay? Sorry, this is the main part, and inside the main you have the div part. And then you have, say, a side element, section element. These are also structural elements. We'll go in details in another session. Then there is the article element, a time element. Using the time element, you can show time. Using the article element, you can create smaller article kind of things. So I can show you the BBC site one more time. So you see here that probably this part on the right, this column on the right was created using some kind of a side element, or this part on the right, you can see here, right? This part on the right. So all of these, like this was the header, then everything else was in the main, and then this part was the footer. Now inside the main, we had, say, one div, then we had another div. Inside this div, we had like other div elements, and on the right column, we had the aside element. Now let's talk about a very important element, which is A element or anchor element. So what the A element does is specifies a hyperlink to a file. So the text between these two tags is displayed on the web page as a link. And okay, so this is the opening tag and this is the closing tag. And inside this, you have this text. This text will be shown as a link. And if you click this link, this will take you to here, contact.html. So href, this part is actually the attribute. So the value for this attribute will tell you that where this link is going. Okay. So before showing the example, let me show you some more attributes for the anchor element. So target, this is another attribute. If you put something like this, like underscore blank, if the value of the target attribute is underscore blank, then if you click on this text, whatever link it takes to will be opened in a new page. Okay, so here one example, you can see one example. This whole thing is an anchor element, and there is some nesting done here. So instead of just some text here, what they have put is they have put a whole heading and a whole paragraph. Now what's going to happen is this whole thing is now going to be shown as one single link. So if you click on this, right, if you click on this, it will take you to this. And these hyperlinks can be of two types. This can be absolute link, which takes you to an original website, or this can be relative link that takes you to another web page inside your own, in your own local machine. Okay. Or you can put, say, like in the value, you can put something like this, mail to colon. If you do something like this, is called the email hyperlink. In that case, if you click on the link, it may open the mail application on your computer. Okay, I'm going to try to show you all of this. Okay, so you can see this page. Let's see what is in here. You can see here that this page has, this is an HTML document, obviously. It has a head, it has a body. Now inside the body, you can see all the structural elements. This is the header portion, and this is the nav area. This is the main. And then inside the main, we have the header, we have paragraphs, etc., etc. And then this is the footer. Okay. Now let's go to a more developed version of this, to this page. Okay. So this is the next one. The difference here is in the previous one, inside the nav, none of the links were alive. Now here, you see that if I come here, Control Shift I, you see here that inside the nav, now we have two of the anchor elements. You can see that, right? We have an anchor element and we have another anchor element. Okay. So we have two of these anchor elements. And if I click on them, you see here the home. If I click on home, it will take me to index.html. If I click on services, it will take me to services.html. If I click on contact, it will take me to contact.html. So let's click on services. Now see it's now taking me to another page, services.html, which also has this header, nav, main, footer. And the other thing that you noticed is the link was opened in the same tab, right? So can we do this? Let's say we just showed you one example that how we can make sure that this is being created somewhere else, right? So if I put another attribute, say target, or let's change it here. Underscore blank. Let's see what happens now. Now, if I click on services, you see the services here, right? If I click on here, now you see a new tab has been created. Just very carefully notice this. If I go to the previous one, just notice here, a new tab has been created. Is it clear now? Okay. Now we also talked about like, so all these are like in the same, these are like relative links, right? Because these are relative links because you can see all these files are actually in the same folder. Now let's make absolute links. Let's say for the services, instead of just going to another page, we want it to go to www.google.com. We can do that, right? Yes. So now if I click on services, you see a new tab is going to be open, and that's going to take me to Google site. So this one didn't work. Let's put okay. Sorry. Let's try to fix this. I'm not sure if it's going to work now. Yeah, now it works. So HTTPS. That's what I used, okay? Now let's try to put another one here. Say I'm putting another link. And let's say I name it email. And as a value here, I just say mail to, say Mehrab at yahoo.com. I'm not sure if this is going to work. Let's see. Okay. So I have created another link, email. So if I click this, you see the mail application opened. Anyways, I'm not, it's taking time. But anyways, you just saw that the mail application opened, and inside the two, you will see like to address mehrab at yahoo.com is going to be copied there. So you can just use your mail application to directly email from there. So I hope the anchor element is now clear to you. So that's it from the first part of the session. In the next part, we are going to talk about CSS. Thank you very much.